Could you talk about your work in Ethiopia a little bit?
Oh, yeah, you get me started on that, we'll be here all day. I spent 9 years in Ethiopia working at a radio station. And we were working in 16 languages to Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. And I was invited to go over there to work at that station because of my organizational and communication skills. And it was great fun because we had two 200 kilowatt transmitters and shortwave at that time. See, this is back in the dark ages before of all of this satellite communication. And so Sony had just started making the little transistor, which was developed in '57. And I went to Ethiopia in 1963. And at that time, they were selling these little radios all over Africa. And so the people would buy them, and we would see the guys at the gas station with this little radio sitting in his turban, or they'd hang it around the neck of the camel that was going down the road. And then the people in the villages would pool their funds and buy one radio for the village. And so it was important that we set up our programs so that we moved around the earth with the sun. And we started out first at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Addis Ababa at the transmitter site, sending off the programs to China, which came in there about 8:30 in the evening when the people were coming in from the farms. And then we just moved around the earth, and we came from China to India and Sri Lanka, and then into Iran and into the Middle East, and then East Africa. And when we were in East Africa, we did the Cairo area and Tanzania and South Africa. And then we ended up at 11 o'clock at night broadcasting to Nigeria and Cameroon on the west coast of Africa. And so we did this every day. We would start out, and just move around the planet with our programming so that we would be broadcasting into the homes about 8 or 8:30 in the evening. So it was great fun working, setting up the programs and doing all of that. And we did programs in, we were broadcasting 70% informational and educational and 30% evangelical outreach. And so the 70% informational and educational, we also did news in 7 languages. And we did programs for how to take care of your clothes, what to feed your chickens, how to take care of your, make a salad. We had 40 programs on worms, how to take care of those in your body. The men in West Africa got very upset with us because of the malaria situation there. And we were running programs encouraging the women to get men to put screens on their windows to keep the mosquitoes out. And then the women pool their money to get some spray around to kill mosquitoes. And so we did quite a bit on malaria. We were given great credit one time for when a cholera epidemic came along in running programs as to what you needed to do so that everybody didn't end up with cholera in boiling water and all of those things. So we did a lot of medical programs. And people would record these and then they would run them in the market. They'd take the little tapes to the market, and on market day they would play them in the market. And some of the health programs they would put on the intercom in the hospitals. And so the programs were used all over. And they're still being used. They're making CDs now and things like that. The local studios are still doing that. Because they were doing the programs and they're mailing them to us in Addis, and we broadcast them over the big transmitters. But now the small studios in these different countries are making the programs and are running them in different ways.
How would you compare that to your experience at the World Bank?
It was, as I said, we were working in 16 languages there, but I came to the World Bank where I ended up with working with a staff of 105 different nationalities from all over the world. And that was a very different experience, although I was in staff relations, working with the staff or their families with any assistance or any information that I could help them with any place in the world. So I could be on 24-hour call. We used to do that a week at a time. And you could, in the middle of the night, I could get a call from any place in the world that somebody was having problems in Bangkok or in some place in South Africa or in South America, and that would need help. And I was very, very fortunate to have the makeup that I have, because I don't really get excited. I'm sort of laid back. And so at 2 o'clock in the morning, I would answer the phone, get as much information as I could, do whatever I could at 2 o'clock in the morning. But then I could lie down and go back to sleep, and at 7 o'clock in the morning, I would get up and go to work and start working again on the problem. But I was the only one of our staff that could really do that, because most of them, if they were waking at 2 o'clock in the morning, that finished their night, you see. So I never did burn out in all the years that I was doing this, which I was very fortunate, as I said before. And but things can happen, very quickly, and people can have all kinds of problems. And so I could go to work in the morning and end up going past my condo, picking up my suitcase, and heading for Dulles and ending up in London overnight on some assignment. And it was very interesting work. I didn't know what I was doing from one half hour to the next. But I did do a study 1 year, because people were always saying, well, how many people did you have contact with the past year? And I did a study, and it was about 1,000 people that I saw about half of them face to face. And the other half I dealt with on the phone. Never did meet them face to face. Never did actually know who they were as a person, like I'm talking to you now. But I can still get on an elevator. I've been retired 22 years. I can still get on an elevator down here at the main headquarters. And if somebody says, oh, there's Ann Foltz, and somebody else in the elevator said, is that Ann Foltz? I dealt with her, but I never saw her before. So that can still happen to me after all these years.
Wow. What prompted you to support our task financially?
Well, I support a lot of different groups financially. And I'm supporting our task because I am so excited about the fact that Jerry and Carol have put this together, and are giving young people all over the world the opportunity to work on a project like this. And that's what excites me about our task, that you can, I'm sure you're learning many things, but you are also putting together information for other people that's very timely and very worthwhile. And we need more of this.